What's up, all you cool snakes and units? How's it going? I hope you're all keeping well. That's a very big spider there, you know. Oh, look at that new spider there, guys. So I've put a travel bag there behind it so you guys can get a better view of it rather than a black or a dark spider in front of a black wall. You're not going to see much. So we have a couple of new spiders in here today, guys. They've actually been with us for a few weeks now. A couple local to us in the same city as we live in, and they put up on Facebook. It was someone that Kirsten knew, or she knew the sister of this person, and absolutely no fault of the person who contacted us about this. They did the right thing. The boyfriend had left the spiders with the girlfriend, and the girlfriend was terrified of the spiders. Can't fault someone for that. Some people just don't like these animals, and that's just the way it is. Remember what I always say, guys, is fear is a lack of understanding. And if you don't understand these animals, your mind will tell you to fear them. It's how we are designed to survive. Now, these guys, we took in 3 spiders with 3 enclosures. Unfortunately, one of them died 2 days before we managed to get to them. It died of dehydration. It was such a shame. None of these spiders had water bowls in them. A few of them were so dry, it was ridiculous. The spider right behind me here, it's a miracle this one is still alive. I think we have managed to figure out the 2 species that have survived. This is a Brazilian red and white, if I remember rightly. We have a Brazilian black and white, I think. It's another species of Nandu. So the reason this spider here is, I'm surprised it's still alive, is because these are quite a stressy spider, quite flighty, okay? So this animal has been stressed out crazily. There were 2 very high energy children in the house. There was a dog, and there was a lot of traffic in the living room where this animal was kept. As you can see here, it has flicked hairs so much to the extent it doesn't have any hairs left on its abdomen at all. Now, it's in an enclosure that's way too big for it. You could fit 2 of these spiders in that enclosure. That's a fish tank there. It's a fish tank with absolutely not one bit of ventilation, so that's quite impressive that it's still alive on that front. It's a terrestrial spider. What terrestrial means is if an animal's terrestrial, lives on the ground, they are not climbers. Doesn't mean they can't climb, as you can see right here, but they are more suited for the ground, and they prefer to be on the ground. Now this spider here is in far too a tall tank. If it gets right up to the top onto the roof, and if it was to fall back down, it could actually hurt itself. They have literally, the 2 spiders that survived have been shut in here. They had some really unnecessary items inside their enclosures. I've stripped the enclosures out, literally just put a water bowl and hide in each enclosure of these 2 spiders, and just left them alone for a couple of weeks. They've been fed once or twice. This one has turned down food, so I'm imagining it'll go into molt sometime soon, or it's probably already going into molt. There is some colour coming back in its butt, so I'd imagine it's now going into pre-molt. And the other spider has eating flawlessly. But so this enclosure is too big for it. It's a fish tank. What we're going to do is we're going to get some perspex. I've bought some perspex. We're going to put a perspex roof on it with some ventilation, so it's going to have some actual ventilation in there. We're going to take a sheet and we're going to half this. So that spider's going to go half, and our other Nandu, our Mexican black and white, is going to go in the other half. So we're going to have 2 sort of Mexican Nandus there side by side. Is what we're going to do. Not entirely sure what we're going to do with these spiders yet. We're going to wait until they're molted out, they're feeding well, and they're back to 100% health. The other spider's in really good health, but it's a spider with a massive attitude, so it's not really fussed. So yeah, these animals haven't been touched. The enclosures haven't really been cleaned out, apart from, you know, dead locusts and crickets being taken out. And yeah, I've just given them the bare minimum. So now they've been here a couple of weeks. Let's give them some love and attention, and get them their houses properly set up. Now, like I say, this is too tall, so what we're going to do is we're going to half it, and we're going to take all the substrate from all the enclosures we've got, because there's a massive enclosure that came with the spider that passed away, but it's got a load of substrate in it. So we're going to mix in the substrates and raise that substrate up so that the spider, if it does climb, has got less to fall down on, and it's going to be a lot more suitable for this spider here. We don't know any of the sexes at all. We don't know anything about them. We had to figure out what species they were. The other one does have a label on it, so we managed to get the species of that one, but this one was pretty easy. I contacted my mate Kyle, and he was like, yep, that's a Brazilian red and white, and textbook, that's exactly what it is. So yeah, let's get into shifting some enclosures around. First things first, we have to catch this absolutely mental case of a spider. This is going to be fun. But yes, here we go. Now, I left them to settle down for a couple of weeks so that I wasn't going through too much stress all in one go. I wanted it to be as calm as possible for doing this, so let's see how we get on here, guys. It's certainly a lot slower moving than it was when it first came in, so that's good. It is darting around all over the place. The spider is on the lid now. And there you have it, guys. Look at that. That was actually extremely easy and very chilled out spider. Which also confirms what I always say, as long as you're calm, slow and gentle, the spider will return that favour. There we go. Now, let's get this fish tank done. Measured that to the length of that, but what we're going to do is we're going to take this bit of mesh that I've just bent. So I took this mesh that was straight, figured out how big I'd want my vent, so I thought we would go to this line here, which means we're going to have to overlap it to seal it on. So we've gone that far over there, so get a line of sealant on. So then we're going to cut this off from this line down, and then that will be glued on to the front there as part of the lip that holds it on. So it needs to be lipped on, otherwise it's going to come off easy. So as you can see, I've got my sides here, the front, the vent and the back. Now comes the tricky bit of tacking it all back all together. Here goes. Okay, so I've just taped the sides up just now. I've taken that inner layer of that protective film off, but I've left the outer layer on, and I've just used sellotape and taped it together, so that when I pull the tape off, it'll pull that outer layer of protective film on, but this inner layer of course is totally fine. So I've just put it together with tape just now. Take it over to the tank, place it on, boom, there we go. Look at that, fantastic. As you can see, the vent is going to be sealed onto the back, but we'll seal this section together first. I've left like a mil plate each side, and that's just for to allow for the sealant, because that'll be, I'll run a lip of sealant all around all these edges around here. I'll probably use black sealant simply because the corners of the tank are black, so it'll fit in a little bit more with it. But yeah, you guys can see now what I'm going for. It'll be a lot more neat and tidy, and then of course, like I say, while that's sealing, I'm going to make up a centre divide section as well to go in the tank itself. But yeah, quite happy with that, looking good. Alright, so as you can see, it's all sealed in now. The mesh is sealed on. It's all had a bead of sealer. I chose when doing the middle section just to do the bottom and a couple of tacks at the top. These are spiders that are going in here, not monitor lizards. So I don't think they'll be able to push through that, especially not when they're sealed on like that. But there we go, that's where we are at. Now it's just a waiting game for it to seal, and then we'll find out if we've been successful. Alright, so I've got a lot deeper substrate in there now. We're going to pop him back in, and then we're going to give Kirsten's Brazilian black and white is going to go in next door. It's maybe verging on small, but we'll see how it gets on. It's definitely double the size, floor width ways, and it could definitely use that. So we'll pop it in there, we'll see how it gets on, and it'll be kind of cool to see the two Brazilian species side by side like that. There we go, isn't that pretty cool? Let's get them in. Yeah, so that is rather a large house for her, or him. But you can see the difference between the two bucks. They're an extremely similar species, these two. The main difference that I can see is this one has a sort of a blonde thorax, which is the middle bit where the eyes are, whereas this one, the black and white, has a black sort of thorax, and on the black and white the knees are a solid white, whereas on this one you can see there is striping on the knees and the legs. Well, that's pretty cool to have those two different species side by side, or similar relatives, should I say, side by side. But we'll see how they get on in those new houses. Hey guys, don't know if you can notice this. This is next day, and have a look at all the little dimples all around the floor. Because this substrate was very sort of fresh and mixed up, it was very soft, and you can see where all the little feet have been all over the floor there on the bedding, and they've been wandering about and checking these enclosures out all night. That's pretty cool. They've been absolutely going crazy exploring, which is good because both spiders are still in there, meaning that they can't get out. Another note as well, if you look at that butt there, it's got colour there, it's dark, so I'm assuming that is the new hairs are going to come in with the next molt. So the next molt we should have a full haired Mexican red and white, hopefully. I'm assuming that's what that means. Remember guys, I am quite a novice with spiders. I am absolutely no expert in the field with arachnids. I am learning as I go, but that is quite exciting that there's colour there. I would say it even looks like you can see, look at that, you can actually see the hairs underneath that skin there, that exoskeleton. You can actually see the hairs underneath. Isn't that pretty cool? That is something, isn't it guys? That is awesome. A lot brighter in those enclosures too now that that ugly big fish tank lid is off there. Nice and bright. I'm actually going to, I've got a spare 3 foot in the cupboard, I'm going to go get it out. I think I'm going to put the spare 3 foot where they are, and they'll go on top of that. And that spare 3 foot will be for our new red tail boa that's sitting downstairs in quarantine for when she comes out of quarantine. She's got a nice bigger enclosure to go into. Isn't that awesome guys? And like I was saying before, you guys may remember when I did an episode on converting that fish tank into a little Viv. There were people on Facebook who were like, oh my god, it's not a big conversion, you put some perspex on it and a vent in it. Yes, what I'm doing here is I'm showing you how easy it is to upcycle something like a fish tank into a terrarium or whatever. I'm not doing this to be like, wow, look at this crazy transformation. I'm showing you guys how simple it is. A bit of mesh, bit of perspex and some sealant, and boom, you've turned a scabby fish tank into quite a cool looking terrarium there, guys. So that's what I'm doing here, is showing you guys how easy it is to upcycle stuff and saving you guys money. Rather than spending hundreds of pounds on an Exoterra, you can buy a fish tank for like 20 quid and the add-ons for like 30-40 pounds, and boom, there you go, you've got a cheap but effective enclosure. Whew, it is warm in the reptile room today, boys and girls. So this spider here, I think, is a South Hispanola, I think is the common name for it, can't remember. I know it's mean, I know that much. So this spider here is actually a terrestrial spider, and the gecko in there, the satanic leaftail, is actually an arboreal gecko. So what we're going to do here is we're going to switch these two around the houses. It's a shame because that house there I made all nice and pretty for the satanic leaftail, but with a custom background and things like that. But it makes more sense to put it in there. Put it in that one because that spider is terrestrial, not arboreal. Arboreal means it climbs, terrestrial means it lives on the floor. So having an arboreal spider with all that climbing space is no use when we have a gecko there that will use all that climbing space. Plus the aesthetics to it is that it will go beside that Viv, which is identical to that one. So they will match and look a lot better as well in the room. So more pros than cons there, them switching them over. So let's pull the two of them out, put them in holding cells and switch everything over. So going back to the dryness of these spiders, this was the bedding that the big black nasty one was in. It's dust, it's feather-like. Look, it's even dried out to that point. This is how your bedding should look. Clump it together, water doesn't come out, but it'll clump. That's how you want it to be. So we'll mix some water into this one and get them the same. There we go. How pretty is that spider? Woohoo! That thing is gorgeous right there. And this is why I wanted it out of the arboreal setup, because even though it is terrestrial, they will climb. And you don't want a terrestrial spider, or any spider really, falling. But wow, is that a pretty spider there, or what, guys? Or handsome. I think with how long and leggy it is, I think it's a male. It has had two feeds with us now, so it's getting a decent abdomen on it. It was very skinny at first, but a couple of feeds there and it's plumping up nicely. Beautiful spider. I love how it's got like greens through its body and then that purple thorax on it, and it's just, oh, pretty. Very pretty. So that's kind of how I've got that stack looking now. That is going to be for the red tail when she comes in. We have the stick insects, the nursery for the babies. Then we have when they're grown on, they go into the larger one. And then in here we have this beauty. Absolutely gorgeous. And there's that one there. Nice, thick, fully hydrated substrate for him. We'll get a molt off him and hopefully be able to tell if it's male or female from that. Strong suspicion this one's male though. Very strong suspicion. And there, as you can see, is the Satanic setup. Not as pretty a background, but there's a lot more in it. He's got a lot more room for climbing. He is down on the floor there. There he is, just down there. Right there. He's just down in there trying to figure out his bearings right now. This looks a lot better. All those vivs are the same height. And yes, it's an arboreal species, so he will make use of that a lot better. All good in the hood. The other day there, I was doing my rounds, doing all the waters and feeding the spiders, and I came across our Nando Trepepe, a Brazilian giant blonde, behaving like this. It had had a very bad molt and was struggling to stay alive. I think it was too dry in there. As you can see here, I've popped some water in there and I tried my best to save it. And this is it, a week later. Boom. Woohoo! We managed to save this spider's life. Keeping an eye on it and checking closely on your animals can sometimes save lives. Now, it's common for slings to pass away, but we got really lucky here and we managed to save this awesome little sling's life just by giving it some more water. Isn't that awesome? Happy ending to that one. So we've got a happy spider in there and a happy spider in there. Some nice settled down spiders. So that's all the spiders settled in now. They're making up home. I've got some cool footage of this one here shifting the dirt from outside. It's really cool to watch them dig the dirt and pick it up and walk out. You wouldn't think of spiders as, you know, picking up big clumps of dirt and walking it around and placing them in other places. But I got a bit of footage of this one here doing it. It's really cool to watch. It was pretty awesome to watch. Watch her scooping it all up and stuff like that. So guys, as always, thank you very much for tuning in. You guys are awesome. Keep on hitting that subscribe button. Keep on hitting the bell button. Keep on liking, comment, and you guys know what you're doing, you awesome bunch. You're helping me out massively with each subscribe you guys throw in there. So thank you very much for tuning in, guys. Take it easy. Peace.